Guys, welcome back to my channel. We have another meal prep. As usual, I'm just chopping up my veggies. I need these green onions for one of the recipes for meal prep. Need to cut up some zucchini for a dinner this week. You guys know, I like to prep all my stuff that I need to do for dinners during my meal prep on Sundays, is that way when I get home from work, I can just get my dinner ready. So I'm doing like a chicken and zucchini stir fry later in the week, so I thought I would go ahead and get my zucchinis chopped up for that. Needed some cilantro for a couple of different recipes. Also needed to cut up my tomatoes for one of my meal preps that you're going to see coming up for one of my lunches. And then lastly, I got a chicken at Costco that I needed to take all the chicken meat off of the bones. And then just so you know, I do save the chicken bones and I put them, I use them for bone broth. I just put it in the freezer. Sometimes there'll be a little bit left over on the actual bones. There'll be some meat left over, which makes really good broth. So I do that. So I just put it all into a gallon size freezer bag, put it in my freezer, and then that way it's there when I want to make some. For a breakfast option this week, I'm going to be doing some McGriddles. So I'm going to show you how I'm putting this together. I'm making my own homemade sausage out of ground turkey. So it'll be a 0-point sausage because I'm using the 99% fat-free turkey. So it is really easy to make sausage out of it. So first thing you need to do is you need your whatever meat you're using. So you can use ground turkey, ground chicken, whatever you want. But if you use the 99% fat-free ground turkey, then it'll be completely 0 points for those of you that also have turkey and chicken for 0-point food. I forget that does depend on people's 0-point foods. So I have a pound of ground turkey here. To that, I'm going to add in 3/4 of a teaspoon of sage, a 1/2 teaspoon each of salt and pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of thyme, a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of oregano, a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika, and a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Now, if you don't like the spiciness of red pepper flakes, do like half that amount or leave it out. Another thing sometimes that you can put into sausage is fennel. Fennel will also make it have the sausage flavor. However, since I'm doing this as a kind of a sweet thing, I decided to leave the fennel out because fennel has a pretty strong taste, and I wasn't sure how that would taste with the sweetness of the pancakes and all of that. So I just left that out, but fennel is also a good thing to add when you're making turkey sausage. So put all those in there, then you're going to mix it up. Again, I'm adding some salt and pepper. But you're going to mix this up and you're going to let it sit in the refrigerator for about 30 to 60 minutes just to make sure you get all those flavors melted together. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and get our eggs cooked. So I'm only making 3 of these sandwiches just because I like to have lots of different options for breakfast and whatnot. I didn't want to waste them, so I'm just going to do 3. So I'm going to do 4 eggs, and I'm going to go ahead and whisk those up together, and I'm going to do 6 little patties of these. So I use this whoopie pan, which I get a lot of questions where I got this. I got it off of Amazon. They don't have this particular one anymore, but they do have a ton of them on there, and I'll try to remember to link down below. They actually have silicone ones now that they didn't used to have when I purchased this one. I've had this one for about 4 years now, and I love it. I use it for all kinds of things. As you guys see, I use it a lot. So I do spray it down with some cooking spray because it is not nonstick at all. So you have to spray it really well. So I'm just going to put my eggs in there. I'm going to be putting 2 of these little egg patties on each of my sandwiches. These aren't very big. It's hard to tell on camera, but they're not very big. So whenever I make breakfast sandwiches, I always do 2 of these on each one. This is going to go into a 400-degree oven for about 6 minutes. You don't want to overcook them. I did overcook them just slightly because I did turn off the timer, then I forgot to go back to it. Since I do want this to be a little bit sweet, I'm going to add in a tablespoon of this maple syrup, this sugar-free maple syrup from Lecanto. I'm going to add that in there and mix it around really well before I put it in the refrigerator. And that's just to kind of, because again, I'm doing this sweet kind of breakfast thing, so I thought that would be better for that. Once your sausage has sat in the refrigerator for about an hour, you just want to make some patties. I'm making 6 patties out of this. I'll just use the other 3 for something else. I'm going to put these in at 400 for about 15 minutes. So you just want to cook them until they are cooked through. Since this is the 99% fat-free turkey breast, I noticed that it tends to cook a little bit faster. Now for the pancake part, we're going to use these Kodiak Power Cakes. They have a lot of protein in them. I'm just going to start off with the recipe that's on the back, which is 1 cup of mix to 3/4 cup of water. I am going to add in also some vanilla and also add in some of that Lakanto maple syrup. I actually only put 1 cup of mix and I couldn't figure out why it was so runny, and I realized, oh, it says 1 cup of mix, not half a cup of mix. So I had to put another half a cup in there. Anyway, I'm going to add in a tablespoon of this maple syrup. Now, when I've seen these McGriddle recipes on Pinterest, they actually show you like injecting the pancakes with like a food syringe, like after they're done cooking, but I didn't have a food syringe, so I didn't really know how to go about doing that, but I think this will be okay. I'm using my little dash griddle thing, but you don't have to use anything like this. You can just make your pancakes however you want, but I love this little thing because you can just make them the perfect size. And I wasn't sure how much I would be needing of this mix, so I just did a 1/4 cup in each one of these, and they came out perfect. And this amount, this 1 cup of mix, was the exact amount that I needed for to make the 6 little pancakes, to make the 3 of them. One thing I do notice with this little dash thing that you'll notice is that it just feels like it doesn't cook. I think because I'm not putting enough of the mix in there, because I'm not making real big, huge ones, and I don't want it to overflow. So I usually just flip them over and then I just kind of cook the other side, because it just doesn't cook both sides really that well, and I've noticed that when I make them. This is also really good for making eggs in as well. So I'm going to go ahead and make up my 6 little pancakes, and then we'll start assembling the sandwiches. Now to assemble the sandwiches, super simple. We are just going to put a one of the pancakes down, and I'm going to put 2 of the little egg on there, and then we're going to do one of the sausages that we made, a piece of Canadian bacon, and then I'm also going to put a slice of cheese on there, and this is just reduced fat American cheese. I know, not the best cheese for you, but it is what it is. Then another pancake on top, and here you go. And here's a little fun fact: I've actually never had a McGriddle because I don't know, never had one before, but I'm super curious. So I'm just like, so I will not know if this tastes anything like the original McGriddle, but it really appeals to me, so I'll let you know what I think about this. But let me know if you guys ever make anything like this. I think it's a really fun, creative little recipe. For one of my lunches this week, we're going to do buffalo chicken quesadillas with some guacamole and a homemade coleslaw. I loved the quesadillas I had a few weeks ago, and I told you guys I was going to make some more, and I came up with the buffalo chicken ones. So I have that rotisserie chicken that I already took off the bones and chopped up. Finally, my plan was to make 6 of these quesadillas. I was going to make 4 for my son for 4 days of work for him, and 2 for me for 2 days, because I have another lunch that I'm going to be showing you. So this mixture, the recipe I was using made 4 cups, or made 4 servings. So I wanted to make 6 servings, so that's how I adjusted this recipe. So I have actually 3 cups of chicken, diced chicken. I put in a half of a cup of the buffalo sauce, and then did another 1/4 cup of that because it called for a half a cup. And then I did 3 tablespoons of the Bold House Ranch dressing in that. And I'm just going to stir that up. Now, I'll tell you, I had a bunch of this left over. So, like I said, it was supposed to make 6 servings, and it ended up being like 9. I'll show you how much I had left over. It was crazy, but I wanted to make sure I measured it all out because I wanted to be able to track it the best that I could. Now we're going to add in some cilantro. So just about, I don't know, 1/8 of a cup or so of cilantro. And then the recipe called for 2 cups of cheese. So I'm just using 2 cups of this Velveeta shreds. I'm going to put that in there. And you're going to stir it up really good, and it's really thick and kind of hard to stir up. But oh my gosh, you guys, this smelled so good. I love buffalo chicken. Then we're going to use these La Banderita tortillas. I had these from last week, so I wanted to use them up. So I have my pan here that's heating up. We're going to go ahead and put one of the tortillas down. I'm just going to use a 1/3 cup measuring cup and measure out the mixture onto each tortilla. And then we'll just cook it on each side. And I thought that there maybe need some more cheese or something, but it was melting up really good. Now, when I reheat these, I will be reheating them in the air fryer. So for me, If the cheese isn't quite melted all the way, it will be when I heat it up. And when my son heats his up in the microwave, it'll be the same thing. So I was mainly just trying to get that kind of that char on the tortilla. But this was interesting because it was like the mixture was not wanting to flatten down. But yeah, you guys, these turned out really good. So I just made up 6 of these. And like I said, I was going to do 4 for my son and then 2 for me. So I just went ahead and just did that, just using that 1/3 cup measuring cup throughout the whole process. That way, again, I could make sure that everything was measured out exactly. But like I said, I ended up having, so what was left over in the bowl, I went ahead and measured out 1/3 cup measuring cups and ended up doing 3 extra. So it ended up being 9 cups total, or 9 total. This is what I had left over. So again, I could have made 3 more tortillas or 3 more quesadillas out of this. To go along with my quesadillas, I'm going to make some homemade coleslaw. So I have a 1/2 cup of this plain non-fat Greek yogurt, 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. We're going to add in a little bit of pickle juice. That's kind of like my secret ingredient for my coleslaw. You can also use apple cider vinegar, but the pickle juice is like a, kind of in place of that. I just like the taste of the pickle juice in there. So if I have pickle juice, I like to use that. So I'm just putting about 2 tablespoons or so of the pickle juice, but you can put 3 or 4, just depending on the taste. I was out of celery salt. That's why I prefer to put in there, celery salt, but I was out of that. So I'm just using some dill weed and some salt and pepper. And I do end up putting more salt and pepper. So make sure after you mix it up really well that you taste it, because sometimes after it sits on the cabbage for a while, it just tends to need more salt and pepper. So I'm just going to go ahead and just put it in there. I have a whole bag of the coleslaw mixed with the carrots and the shredded up cabbage. Put all that dressing in there. Again, I needed to add some more salt and pepper for sure. So this will be my side dish to go along with my quesadillas. I just thought it just sounded really good, just like a nice, kind of cold salad to go along with those spicy quesadillas. Oh, and I also love to add in lots of green onions into my coleslaw. That is a must for me. I cannot have coleslaw without lots and lots of onions. So I have some of this chunky guacamole, which does scan as 0 points for me because avocados are free for me, and everything in this guacamole is 0 points. So I have little cups here that I'm putting the guacamole in, and then I'm going to just put some of the coleslaw in here. Now if you guys watched my grocery haul, you saw that green tomato salad that I found at Grocery Outlet. I could not get the jar open. My husband was sleeping. He works graveyard, so he was sleeping. So I did not want to bother him. So when I have this for lunch, I'll just have him open up that jar for me so I can try some of that green tomato salad. But I didn't want to wake him up, just open my jar for my video. So I'm putting 1 quesadilla each in these little containers, and I have my coleslaw and my guacamole. And another good thing for these to dip in, if you want to dip them in plain non-fat Greek yogurt or sour cream or whatever you like, but I just thought the guacamole sounded really good with that buffalo chicken. For my other lunch this week, I'm going to do a spicy chicken and cauliflower rice bowl with also some crunchy cabbage coleslaw mix. Now this is just plain coleslaw mix here on the side without the dressing. I just thought it would be a nice accompaniment to this recipe. And I think in the recipe that I saw on the website, it showed having some kind of cabbage on there. And I thought that's a great idea. So in my pan here, I have some 96% fat-free, or 96%, fat-free ground chicken. I'm adding in some onion to that, and then we're going to add in a lot of spices. Now basically all the spices you're adding into this is pretty much like taco seasoning, like the taco seasoning that I make. I'm adding my homemade taco seasoning, or I would have just used that, because almost all the ingredients in that in this recipe, which I will have this recipe linked down below, is from one of my favorite websites that I forget about all the time, and every once in a while a recipe will pop up on Pinterest, but it's from a Clean Food Crush, I think is what it's called. And it's a great website, so I'll have that link down below. We're putting a big dollop of minced garlic. You guys know I hate to measure my minced garlic because I think that a lot of garlic is just fine. And as far as the spices, we're going to be putting in 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of cumin, 3 teaspoons of coriander, 3 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 2 teaspoons of oregano, and then of course salt and pepper. Now while that chicken is cooking, we're going to do our cauliflower rice. So on the other pan here, I have a bag of cauliflower rice that I steamed up. Just did it according to the package directions. And now to our cauliflower, we're going to add in some onion as well. And then we're also going to add in some garlic. So we'll put a big dollop of minced garlic. And then for the spices that are going to go in the cauliflower, we're going to add in a teaspoon of cumin, some salt and pepper, and then I'm just going to put in some lime juice as well. And then we're going to go ahead and let this just cook until the rice just doesn't have any moisture to it left. It's just going to cook until it's all nice and has a little bit of charring on it. It just has a good like smoky flavor when you do that. So I put it down on pretty low heat, and I just I'm really just cooking it just to get those spices to kind of melt together, and just again just to get that kind of moisture out of there. And when the rice is all done, then you're going to add in some cilantro. So I'm adding in just a good healthy handful of cilantro, and I'm going to go ahead and take this off of the heat so it doesn't get burnt or anything like that. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in the containers, but it's time to attend to our chicken. So now our ground chicken looks amazing. I'm adding in some serrano peppers. You can leave this part out if you don't like spicy things, but I did 2 serrano peppers, and then I did 2 beefsteak tomatoes, so lots of tomatoes. I love fresh tomatoes and things like this. It's just they taste so much better than canned tomatoes. I always forget that. I just kind of lean towards canned tomatoes just because they're there and they're easy and you can have them in your cupboard. But I just really wanted the fresh tomatoes in this recipe because that's what it called for, and it just sounded so good. So we're just going to cook that up until the peppers kind of cook down and all the flavors melt together. So I just put this on low, and I'll let it simmer for about 20 minutes or so. And then we have our rice cauliflower, we have our cabbage here, and then we're going to add in our chicken, and that will be my second meal for the week for lunches. This is what the final product looks like. So good. I like to have 2 different options for lunches because you guys know I get really bored of the same thing every single day. So this will be a great lunch. Again, any recipes that I have to share with you, which I think is only this one, I don't really have a recipe for the other things, will be linked down below in the description box. And thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. Let me know if you're going to try any of these and what did you meal prep for the week. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.